What's going on, everybody? It's the Indoor Hunter, and today we are going to be talking about the technically controversial new update to the Hunter Call of the Wild. I do think it's only controversial, however, because there's a pretty big misunderstanding from the new player base versus the old player base versus the vision of the actual game. So, for those of you that are just now getting into Call of the Wild or have been the past few months, the game's been in a broken state. That's something we've all got to acknowledge as players. It's been broken. You're not supposed to be able to fast travel to a tent in the middle of a need zone and the animals just stand there. That's obviously how the game's not meant to be played, period. It was broken. We took advantage of it while we could. Those are harsh words, strong words, but those are basically what Expansive Worlds has said. This is the vision of the game. It's changing. You're gonna have to get used to it, but don't fear. Those of you that unfortunately, and I do think that Expansive Worlds needs to come out, eat some crow and say, guys, we're sorry. We let you play a broken game for way too long. It was broken for long enough that people just assume that's the way the game is supposed to be played. However, those of us that have been around since the release of the game know, yeah, this is definitely not how it's supposed to be played. Now, obviously, if you're a hardcore Great One grinder and you were just min-maxing and you were just backing in, backing out, getting those respawns, going through as fast as you can, unfortunately, you're just going to have to slow it down. That's basically the easiest solution, best workaround. Some of the OGs I've noticed, when it comes to tent setups and grind setups, it's set up like it should be. Tents are 250 meters away. You don't spook anything when you spawn in. They're within render distance now, which is nice because as a regular Great One grinder like myself, boy, that was an annoying bug, having to fast travel a bunch of different places just to get yourself to be there in the first place. So I'm glad that they fixed that. Like I said, basically you just extend the range. You're going to have to shoot a lot longer ranges, and you're not going to be able to back in and back out of the menu, which that breaks your game anyway. Wouldn't recommend it. That's not how I do it anyway. The spawn system has gone back to what the game originally was. Respawns are based on time. Not exactly sure the time off the top of my head. I've heard 3 in-game days. I've heard 6 in-game days. Nobody really knows. The fastest way to actually get your respawns is to simply shoot more things. Yeah, it's really that easy. You just shoot more stuff. And honestly, I could see this kind of changing the meta of Great One grinding perhaps. Now, obviously, those min-maxers have put in an insane amount of work into herd management and stuff like that, getting those herds perfect. Herd management's still a thing. You can still do it. That being said, I do see a potential meta change, maybe more into a regular kind of grinding style, because this really does promote shooting more zones, shooting more animals. That way, you don't even have to back out. You just keep shooting deer or whatever it is that you're shooting, because they're just going to keep continuously respawning as you shoot them. I want to say data mine information shows that every 4th kill, an animal will respawn. So if you're getting enough animals down, you should never have to back out in the first place. I used to do this all the time with red deer. I would just not back out, and I wouldn't need to. I'd shoot enough red deer that they just kept coming. So obviously some of the animals are going to be a little more difficult. Looking at you, Moose. Moose, you're going to be back to the original kind of sucky grind you've always been. I know some people are upset that their tar grinds got disrupted. That is understandable. Again, like, it's not fair to those. Basically, I want to say for you guys that are mad at this update, it's unfair that you were allowed to learn how to play the game in an environment that just should have never been allowed in the first place. It's kind of like the PC and how prevalent hacking is there. EW needs to do something about it. I know Jaxie in the last stream did talk about they are working towards some sort of, which in the past it's great news, because in the past they were like, no, we're not going to really do much about the cheating. There's nothing we can do. But now they're like, you know what? Maybe there is something we can do. So they've got something in the works. I'm looking forward to that. But during the stream when they were talking about the update, Jaxie said that the Great One Tar is supposed to be difficult. It's not traditional. It doesn't have a drink zone. It's up in the mountains. You got to find their zones. And again, I think they're wanting to promote a more traditional grind style. Like, when Great Ones first came out, main menuing wasn't a thing. You couldn't get your response instantaneously. The everything that got just changed back to was the way it was. So the spook distance from a tent was 250 meters. Like I just said, that you couldn't instantly get your respawns. The only way to get your respawns was to shoot more animals, and so it was just basically a Great One grind consisted of setting up 16 zones or something, as many zones as you could that are comfortable and easy to get to, and then you shoot everything that you see as far as the males go. That way you can keep those respawns going. I used to do it so much with my red deer, I would never have to back out. I would shoot enough red deer that they would just keep respawning. Now, obviously, you got to change time as you're doing this, but that helps further promote your respawns, because the more time you spend in game, the more respawns that you get, the more you change time. Again, it works towards that clock, and you just keep getting respawns. It's really not the end of the world. You are going to have to adapt if you're one of those that, unfortunately, like I said, grew up in that environment where you can plop a tent down in the middle of a need zone, shoot everything, and they just stand there. It is going to make Great One grinding slightly more difficult, but not impossible by any means. Again, and I've noticed a lot of the players, especially those players that have been playing for a long time, they've already got their zones and everything set up to where this is, outside of main menuing, you're not affected at all. If you, like I said, as long as you got those tents 250 meters, sometimes 300, depending on, the game is weird. You got to play with that sometimes, but general rule of thumb, 250 meters is that zone or that range to place your tents. It's not a big deal. Some places are harder to set up than others. Again, I think that's the way it was intended to be. Great Ones are supposed to be hard, but I think it is their goal to make Great One grinding just a little bit harder. But I think that's going to make some of the other things that are in the game a little bit better or a little bit more pursued now, which I'm looking forward to. I mean, I love finding random diamonds out on my map. I love finding rares. And when you're just shooting thousands of animals in an hour, it kind of lessens that a little bit. A diamond becomes worthless when you have 10,000 of them. Unless, of course, you're, coming in from day one and you know what it's like to get out there and hunt. And I don't know. I personally, when it comes to this update, I'm not too worried about it. Again, I'm not a hardcore Great One grinder, so it doesn't affect me as much as, in fact, as a run and gun player, like this affects me zilch. It doesn't affect me at all. Actually, it helps me because now I know the more things that I shoot, the more respawns I'm going to get in real time. And it makes me excited and really look forward to playing this game even more, because now I can actually go through my maps and shoot everything that I see, and they'll actually respawn as they're supposed to, real time, and it's a ton of fun. Once everybody adapts, I think the complaints will start going down, because they're going to realize that at the end of the day, it's not really the end of the world. It's going to make it slightly harder. Again, I know the biggest thing is the fact that you can't main menu anymore, and I can't stress enough, because I've had it happen to me where it just completely ruins your map anyway. If it hasn't happened to you, consider yourself lucky. You're one of the lucky ones. I had to literally restart my account in order to solve the problems that min-maxing or main menuing and dirty grinding caused. So definitely don't recommend doing that. They've stated multiple times now that that definitely breaks the game. But guys, I just want the community to hold strong in this. This is a great game, obviously, and I really don't think anybody should leave it just because what should be a very difficult animal and a rare animal became broken to the point that it could be exploited. Don't leave, guys, because the challenge is what makes those Great Ones worth it. And I'm not saying it's impossible to Great One grind either. Those of you that put that time and effort in to herd manage, find all your zones, min-max everything to where all your shooting's 5s and 10 fabled, that's still here. That's not going anywhere. The only difference is you can't back out of the main menu, jump right into the middle of the need zone and shoot them all. You're going to have to set your tent up, like I said before, 250 meters away, and shoot enough that you can actually get those respawns consistent. So maybe as a community, we need to come together, figure out herd management on a larger scale, because I know herd management kind of boils down to like getting less and less zones. The less zones you have, the easier herd management is. The more zones you have, the more chaotic it gets. We're going to have to explore some options, because you're going to have to get some stuff on the ground in order to get those respawns back. Again, those of us that have played the game for a long time or have been playing the game a long time. I think I have to look at it. I think the console release for Xbox was like 2018 or something like that. I played it very shortly after it came out, and I've said it so many times. I just want to emphasize the point that I just remember the game how it was until it wasn't anymore. All of a sudden, we could do things that, you know, didn't require stealth, and honestly, the run and gun playstyle kind of adapted because it was so hardcore. It's like, well, how can we figure out a way to make this just a little bit easier? And well, run and gunning was born. Of course, grinding came out, and I traditionally grind how everybody grinded when Great Ones first arrived. You basically put as many tents and zones as you can find, and you shoot every single male that you see until the Great One shows up. Sometimes people got lucky and it'd be 10 kills, sometimes it'd be 10,000, but that's what made the Great One so special. You never know when or where it was going to happen, and it was exciting to see the community so united at that point, because anytime somebody had a Great One, it was instantly like, oh wow, you've gotten the Great One. This is insane. But now, you know, well, this is Great One 225. It's like, oh geez. And then again, I'm not discounting anybody's work. That's a ton of time and effort to get in there and get that many Great Ones. You know, you deserve your kudos. That said, though, I think it'd be a huge disservice to anybody else coming into the game in its previous state, where again, the hardest animal to get in the game isn't exactly that hard. So this is going to benefit those new players that are coming in and learning the ropes. You guys stick in there. This game's tough. It's supposed to be. It's a hunting game. Again, it's not a hunting simulator. It's a hunting game, but it's not exactly arcadey in the sense of, it's not Call of Duty. You know, there's no auto aim. Like, you got to do your homework a little bit. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know this is super controversial. There's a lot of people out there that, again, just didn't experience the game in its unbroken state. And so I feel like they got cheated out of an experience. So if you guys are mad at this video or anything that I said, I understand that it's frustrating. Trust me. But at the same time, you should be frustrated that you didn't get the experience of grinding for a Great One the way it should be grinded for, and then finally getting that dude in your trophy lodge. That's an experience you guys were robbed of. You should be mad about it, and I think Expansive World should apologize. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you guys on the next one.